Hey guys, JHub here, and xDEFIANT has officially released. After doing 3 or 4 different beta tests, server tests over this past year, it is out fully. It is free to play, and it has battle passes and microtransactions like you would see with any other free to play. And I figured we'd give some thoughts on it. We did end up doing a stream last night on it to give it a shot, see what was new, see how it felt. And I guess I can give my good and bad opinions regarding it in this video. Starting off with the good. Skill-based matchmaking is nice to have just disappear out of the game. It actually feels like the old Call of Duty lobbies, where you're tossed in from a myriad of different players, you're getting to go up against different weapons. Overall, it just feels like each and every match is different and not the same like in COD, where it's like everybody's using the best gun, running the same routes and stuff like that, depending on your skill level. It actually feels different across the board. Matchmaking is actually dependent on a lot of different variables, but they go down in this list. So latency is your ping, blocked players, if you have blocked anyone, whether you may have come across a hacker or just someone who is quite toxic. Then it goes on to your party size. So if you're playing with a group, you might go up against a group, which makes sense. The region you're playing in, then it's input device and platform. Now keep in mind, you can both turn off crossplay, and matchmaking can be only dependent upon input device. So if you only want to go against controller players, you can do that. If you want to avoid mouse and keyboard in your lobbies. If you just want to have a consistent feel rather than maybe going up against a full squad of PC people who are constantly bunny hopping and trying to speed around the map, which might be an issue for some console players. And then for ranked play, it's actually really not skill-based matchmaking in a sense like you would see in Call of Duty. It's an actual league system. The higher you go up is what you're matchmaking against. So you'll have rank points, only matches within an acceptable rank range. You'll have latency because you don't want to be lagging. I know in COD, depending on what ranks you're playing against, you might have the worst connection ever matchmaking all over the world sometimes. Party size, region, input device, and platform. So some of the parameters for normal matchmaking are in ranked play, but it is not technically skill-based matchmaking. It is ranked-based matchmaking. So the more points you earn in ranked, that's who you will go up against. It's more familiar with like Black Ops 2 League play for those of you who have played that. Moving on to another thing, I like the colors. I like how everything's vibrant. I like how you can actually see players in the game. If we go back to Call of Duty, we have an issue with everything's like brown, gray, tan, and dark skins on dark maps. It's really hard to make out people. But I like how in xDEFIANT, the lighting is great, the colors are great, and you can actually make out who you're trying to kill or when you're going up against the objectives. They're having fun with the maps as well. It's almost like Black Ops 3, where they just had a lot of colors, and the maps, as long as they flowed well, they threw in whatever type of game design they wanted, versus like, we need to be dark and grungy, and this is in a battlefield, and just, you know, the standard modern kind of shooter aspects where everyone needs to blend and it needs to be quote-unquote more realistic while they put in Teletubby and emoji skins. Let's not talk about that, but I like that. It's really good. Third thing I like about xDEFIANT, I like that hit scan is back. I feel like in COD with the new projectile systems, you have so many variables in play, and then when you put into connection and matchmaking and everything, the gunfights just do not feel consistent, nor do they feel fair. But now that we're back on hit scan, it feels more fluid. I don't know what the server tick rate is for xDEFIANT, but it feels better. There were some instances where just upon death, if I got a 3rd hit marker, say on the marksman rifle, that gives you a 2 or 3 shot kill depending on where you hit, I'd get the hit marker, but they weren't dying. That could have been a server issue. But hit scan definitely makes things feel better. And I kind of like that aspect of xDEFIANT. Those 3 things, it really does help. But moving on to the bad. For those of you who have been around with me, you know I'm not the biggest fan of hero shooter. And xDEFIANT is pretty much a hero shooter with their abilities and their ultimates. I'm not the biggest fan of that, and right now one of the biggest things that were pissing me off in the game is the vision pulse, where people are constantly spamming the pulse to see you through walls and stuff like that, and it's just really, really frustrating. I don't know if they can go about maybe taking all these abilities and ultimates and making them in a way of a streak to where you have to earn them. That way normal play is just you, your gun, and playing the objectives. Because they have a lot of objectives from both Call of Duty and Overwatch, whereas it's like escort the mission or domination. Search and destroy will be coming soon. But having to deal with ultimates and abilities, getting spammed throughout the match, especially the vision pulse, it felt like I was getting hit every 20 seconds, like especially since multiple people can run it, was just extremely frustrating. And it's like when a lot of people are having kind of like wall hack situations, when you're trying to clutch and, you know, win a match when it's coming down to the wire, that can really alter it, especially if you can get them into a spawn lock because of that, which I was able to get people spawn trapped quite a bit. But I am definitely not a fan of the whole hero shooter aspect. Like I said, if they can create a mode that takes all of that off and sticks it onto like streaks, then I would be a bit more happier, because then at bare minimum, they wouldn't be getting spammed all the time. Another thing that I don't like is the graphics. The best way I can describe it, it feels like I'm emulating COD Mobile on PC. If you've seen what that looks like, the graphics, while vibrant and bright, which I like, they are kind of old school, and I get that they're wanting this game to run on pretty much everyone's platforms, whether you have a good PC or a bad PC or just an older console. I understand that. And keep in mind, you have to activate 120 Hz if you're on PS5. It's not on by default. But just graphically, it was not, you know, that appealing. It really was lackluster and fell back. I mean, if you're used to like games like Counter-Strike and Valorant, it'll be fine. But it was just, you know what I mean? It would, like, it's not something you would expect from a game in 2024. But I mean, if that's not a game breaker for you, if you prefer the performance, then fine, you're good to go. But I feel like it could use a little bit more on that. Another thing is, when it came to the controls, something feels off about that. I don't know if it's a console issue or what, but it doesn't feel like when I'm triggering my actions that they are in sync, or for some reason it feels clunky. While the slides, you are spamming around like you got jetpacks on your shoes and you're sliding all over the place, which I don't know if this was due to COD, how everybody was begging for this quote-unquote advanced movement for extreme sliding. But when you try to, you know, go from run to slide and back up in more of a fluid motion, it's really kind of clunky. That's the best way I can describe it. So there's a lot of times I feel off. And then when you're aiming on controller, and I might give it a shot on PC, it doesn't feel as fluid. It feels very wonky. And I don't know if I would give that to aim assist for the reason why it's having those issues. But just, there's something that feels off. I didn't even feel like aim assist was strong in this game at all, which I'm a fan of. COD has gotten out of hand with aim assist. If anybody who's playing COD nowadays goes back to like Black Ops 2, Black Ops 1, MW2, you're going to start having aiming issues, and you're going to have to crank your sensitivity down in order to aim. But it just, for some reason, the controls felt off. But overall, I think, for my opinion, with the good and the bad, it's not really going to be a game I'm going to be playing. After having 3 or 4 betas over a year and then keep delaying and delaying, I didn't really notice any new content either. So essentially, we were playing demos of the game repeatedly. I mean, they had server issues at one point, but you know, they fixed that. But it doesn't really felt like they changed much over that year. I was expecting maybe a handful of maps that we didn't get to see or they held back, but you know, a lot of it we've already done before. So it's just, I've played this game, I guess, for like 15 to 20 hours already. So it doesn't feel anything new or refreshing for me, which is kind of a disappointment. And then it's free. If any of y'all want to give it a chance, I guess you can do that. But for me, it's just going to be more of a pass. So I would definitely like to know what y'all think down in the comment section below. Did you enjoy it? Have you played it yet? Do you plan on playing it? Do you not like it? Let me know what you think, because right now I'm leaning towards this will just be a pass for me. Not even like a game I would, you know, normally just hop on and enjoy a couple things like I was doing with Helldivers, but I might end up passing on this, and it's kind of unfortunate. But hey, if this is what some people need to get away from Call of Duty and for Call of Duty to have more competition, I'm happy for it. Hopefully this will institute change and make both games better, but I guess we'll see in time. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.